I think while we wait for a few more folks, it would be a good opportunity to really highlight the National Dominican Day Parade and, the work they've done to contribute to, especially younger generation, and make sure that they have the proper mentorship, the resources that they need to succeed. I know that I've benefited a lot from my relationships with both the committee, fellow scholarship recipients, not only in terms of resources, but in the idea that as the child of immigrants, I'm able to engage with my family's culture in a way where I can volunteer, where I can continue learning about the culture that I was raised in. And that is something that is invaluable in essence. Not every community has that level of mentorship, of community pride, and one can begin to describe the lengths that the National Dominican Parade, and its chairs, its committee has worked to make sure that we are keeping that Dominican pride and those Dominican resources alive in the United States. And that's something we should all be very, very grateful for. Just a reminder, we want to make sure that we are engaging with the community that has helped all of us so much. There are ways to donate to ensure that scholarship recipients have the proper funding that they need to succeed with their education, as well as volunteer opportunities and other ways to make sure that you are engaging with the National Dominican Day Parade. These webinars are an immense help to a lot of people who may not have the kind of information that we are so, love to have, and it's being provided by the board of directors and the chairs and other volunteers who are willing to engage with us. I think it is important also to remember that we have these resources online as well, that these webinars are being saved. And if we have these in the future and maybe you don't have the opportunity to attend, that these are accessible through the website and the YouTube page as well. I think it's time to transition now because we have a couple more people who have joined, and I think we're ready to start with our introductions. So let's start off with Cristina Contreras. She is our National Dominican Day Parade Chair. She's on our board of directors, and she has been in healthcare for the past 25 years, and she has begun with her career with the New York City Health and Hospitals in Coney Island as a caseworker in 1995. She successfully assumed positions of progressive leadership and responsibility, leading her to her present senior executive role of Chief Executive Officer at New York Health and Hospitals Metropolitan. She built her relationships with internal staff and external customers, and during her tenure in various roles at New York City Health and Hospitals, she received numerous awards, recognizing her strong dedication to the community as a leader. She is passionate about connecting with the community, patients, and has expanded the hospital's presence in the community to help engage patients in their own health and helping to become active partners in their care. Cristina embraces diversity. Sorry. Is everyone okay? Cristina embraces diversity and engages and works together with different community leaders and uses those opportunities to provide health education to the public to work at improving health outcomes. She was in the Dominican Republic, and she knew that she would leverage educational opportunities to reach her highest potential with the intent of realizing the American dream once she arrived to the United States. She is a member of the Community 7 in the Bronx, where she chairs the health and hospital committees and serves on the education committee. So she's very, very involved. She was featured in the May-June 2018 Hispanic Executive magazine with the role of partnering with patients. She has been recognized numerous times for being an active member in her community. She is married and a dedicated mother of four and resides in the Bronx. I would love, love, love to welcome Cristina. And if you could unmute and give your welcoming remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Like you said, my name is Cristina Contreras and the new president of the National Dominican Day Parade. I welcome all of you to our National Dominican Day Parade Leadership Workshop. And this happened to be our 5th leadership workshop. We believe in these webinars that provide beneficial information to our community and our students. During these challenging times, it is important to have access to information, experts, and knowledge that will advance us individually and while uplifting our community as a whole. Today, you will hear from Kenya Abreu. Welcome, Kenya. She's the president of the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce. She's an outstanding leader of an organization ensuring the growth of successful business across New York State. And the moderator, you met one of our wonderful moderators for this event, Freynet Familia, and providing closing remarks, we have Francisco Nunez. Both are previous National Dominican Day Parade Scholarship winners, and they're doing a wonderful job. Please let us know if you would like to sponsor a leadership workshop, and if you have any specific recommendation on future topics that we should cover. And thank you all for participating, and please support our scholarship initiatives. Thank you.
Cristina, for that wonderful introduction. Now we are going to start turning the floor to Kenya Abreu, who is our guest speaker for today. She has more than 20 years of experience in economic and business development, career counseling, job development, and placement. She has a specialty in program development and implementation, management and strategic planning, fundraising, marketing, and public relations. She is a jack of all trades. She is president and founder of the first Women's Chamber of Commerce in the city and state of New York, an organization that has provided services to more than 10,000 entrepreneurs. They are responsible for advocating, creating, and implementing programs and services to assist women, minorities, and other disadvantaged entrepreneurs become economically independent through business, micro-enterprise ownership, and self-employment. Under the umbrella of the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce, she has created and overseen the Women and Minority Business Development, the Micro-Enterprise Institute, and the New York Entrepreneurs Incubation Program. She manages the strategic fund budget for the organization. She develops guidelines and policies, hires and supervises staff. She plans, executes marketing strategies to increase awareness and membership. She develops and manages strategic relationships with businesses, government agencies, community, and non-for-profit entities. And she represents the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce at functions and meetings as she is right now. And we are so thrilled to have her today to give us a wonderful presentation about empowerment, resources, business, and financial strategies. Thank you so much, Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am so excited to be here with all of you, of course. I am a Dominican myself. Grew up in Harlem and spent most of my time between Harlem, Washington Heights, Inwood, and the rest of the city. I've been here since I was 11 years old, but I am as Dominican as you can get. So thank you so much for inviting me. It is a pleasure to be here, really. Okay, so I want to talk today about resources and financial empowerment. Some people say that jokingly that my favorite topic is always to talk about money. That when they call me to speak, they always said, "Oh, she's going to talk about money." And yes, I love to talk about money. I love to talk about the financial empowerment of people, and especially the financial empowerment of businesses, and especially of those businesses that are owned by minorities, that are owned by people of color, that are owned by Latinos. We work a lot with the Latino community, and it gives me a great pleasure to be able to help them start and grow their business into successful venture. So one of the things that, before I go into some of the resources, that we have with the city and the state and the federal, I just wanted just give you just very quickly a couple of data information, and also just the motivation, because I gotta tell you, I want to see more people starting businesses, and I want to see more young people starting businesses. One of the things that is happening with our Latino-owned businesses is that we have a lot of businesses. We do have a lot of Latino-owned businesses, but the majority of our Latino-owned businesses are owned by people that are already getting old. And a lot of our kids don't want to go into their parents' business, and they just want to go and get a job. And I am telling you this, when we talk about the American dream, when we talk about realizing the American dream, when we talk about becoming wealthy, your probability of becoming wealthy by becoming a business owner is much higher, really, than working for somebody the rest of your life. Think about that. I don't know about you, but I don't know that many people. I don't know people that actually have become wealthy by working for somebody else. You don't hear those. I don't know if they're out there. There might be a few, but you do hear about those that have become wealthy by starting and growing a successful business. I mean, you look at Amazon, what's happening with Amazon. You look at Apple. You look at so many, businesses that are out there that have just started not too long ago, and look how successful they are. And one of the things that make them successful, and I always say this, is of course capital. You can't grow a business without money. That's for sure. And one of the things that we have seen during this pandemic, it's how much that has affected our businesses. The businesses that are very having a very hard time surviving are those businesses that didn't have money, in the bank, didn't have the money to be able to carry their business for a couple of months. I mean, yes, everybody was affected, but when you don't have that money somewhere to deal with emergencies or unexpected situations, you are more at risk of losing that business. So what is happening right now? There's a lot of money coming out. But our people, our Latino-owned businesses are not accessing that money. So we want them to access that money. The money's there. The money's there for you. The money's there for us. But if we don't get it, if we don't go after it, if we don't apply for it, if we don't know about it, we're not going to get it. Other people are going to get it, right? So we need to get that money. First, before we get the money, we need to be ready to get that money. That's very important. What am I talking about? I'm talking about making sure that your taxes are filed, making sure that your business is registered the proper way, making sure that your business has the accounting system in place that you need, making sure that your business has payroll. Oh my God, that is so important, making sure that your business has payroll. Okay, they put in my presentation, and I apologize because I know I sent you two, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about this before going to the actual money, the resources, because this is important. If you could see here, some of the challenges that our small businesses have faced and continue to face when it comes to accessing the money, or how our businesses deal with capital, where the capital comes from. We tend to use our personal savings. We tend to get our money from friends. We have lower credit score, limited credit history. We have more difficulties paying operating expenses and having credit available, and we have credit available issues. And research shows that most Hispanic business owners report a need for facilitating access to capital. That's what I was talking about. The access to capital that is so important, because you cannot grow your business and you cannot build wealth through your business if you don't have the money to invest in your business. It's just not going to happen. Okay. And when you look at, the amount of businesses that we have a lot of businesses, but you turn that into the money that we're getting, that the businesses are getting, it's very small. And when you talk about the wealth that these businesses are building, are creating, is also very, very small. Latino own right now 2.5% of the wealth of this country, 2.5%. That's very small. Okay. Yes. Equity, you got it. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to talk to people about, and that's what we got to change, because the barriers are there, and it has to do with equity, and it has to do with inclusion, and it has to do with diversity, and all of that has to come together, and we have to make sure that our people have access to the resources that they need. So when we talk about the PPP, it came out, of course, that our people were having a very hard time accessing the funding, accessing the PPP. The first PPP, that's the famous PPP, which is the SBA funding, which is the forgivable loan that is coming out as a loan, but it's really a grant if you qualified. So when you look at, the 350 billions that came out the first time, it went to major corporations. The banks just went around and gave the money, turned around and gave the money to the big corporations. And people, of course, started complaining, and the voices were heard, and our elected officials complained, and the voices were heard, including ours. And then they changed that around, and they made sure that the banks were lending the money to the small businesses. But guess what happened? So the money came out. All this money came out, and still our small businesses, our Latino-owned businesses, and primarily businesses owned by people of color, were not assessing the money. If you can see, Hispanics and whites applied to the PPP program at similar rates, 33%. Yet Hispanic businesses were 1.5 times less likely to be approved for a PPP loan. Okay. And we're still not there. Our participation is very, very small. Okay. So we need to change that. We really need to change that around. And how do we change that? As I said before, we have to be ready, because the money's coming out, and it's coming out quickly. The window to apply is so short that you blink and it's gone. Okay. So what did I say before? We need to properly register our businesses. Okay. You have to make sure that you're filing your taxes. You have to make sure that your accounting system is in place. That is very important. A lot of our people, they deal with accounting at the end of the year when they're going to file their taxes. No, your accounting has to be done throughout the year. Okay. You must have good record keeping. You must have all the information that is required. And very important, as I said before, you must have employees on your payroll, because all the funding that's coming out has to do with what? With making sure that people go back to work. Okay, that's where the money is being put into. It's to make sure that people go back to work, that people have jobs. So they want to give the money to the businesses that can guarantee that people are going to be working, and can guarantee that people were working before, and that that money is going to put them back to work. Okay. You must have good credit history. Build your credit. You need to do that. There are a lot of resources that can help you with that. So that's important. Okay. So you got to be ready. Number one, that's the first thing. You got to be ready to get that money, because it's out there for you. So So when we talk about what's available, there's so much available right now. We have, of course, the Paycheck Protection Program. That's still going on. Okay, you still have time to apply. You have until the end of May to apply. Okay, and you can apply if you're a small business. You can apply if you're a big business. You can apply if you're self-employed, a micro business. They have changed the rules so you can apply. Okay, that's the PPP. It's still out there. You can contact us. We are working with Ponce Bank at this time to make sure that if you qualify, that you can apply for that money. Okay, and it's money that you don't have to return if you can prove that that money is going to pay for employees, and it could be you. Okay, it doesn't have to just be somebody that you got on a payroll. It can be you. Okay, that's important. Okay, so that's, you know, the PPP. Then you have what it's called the second, because there's two PPP. So you have the second PPP, and you can apply for both at almost at the same time if you didn't apply before. So this is what I'm telling you. The money is there. All you have to do is put your paperwork together and apply, and we will help you with that. And there are other organizations also helping you. So there is no excuse for you not to access that money. Can you go to this, the next slide, please? Okay, the disaster loan, the EIDL, as they call it, that's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That loan is available through SBA. The PPP, you have to go to a bank. The EIDL, you have to go directly into the SBA platform to apply. And it's a simple application also. It's a simple application, okay? If you need, we can also help you, or we can also refer you to other organizations, okay? The only thing is that the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, you have to pay it back. It is not forgivable. You have to pay it back, okay? And even churches can apply, both the PPP and the EIDL, cultural, you name it. They have opened the doors almost to everyone. Okay, but the EIDL, you have to pay it back, okay? And it has to be used for your business, okay? And you have until, I believe it's 2022 to start paying it back, but you have to pay it back. Go to the next one, please. Okay, the Charter Venue Operator Grant. This just came out. This is for specifically for some of the businesses that they left out before, that did not include them on the PPP. And these are also businesses that were closed for a very long time and open later. And we're talking about your theaters, mainly cultural organizations and arts organizations like movie theaters, museums, galleries, all of these places that, you know, open later on. This grant is specifically for them. Okay, and it's also available through the SBA. Next slide. Okay, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Yay! This is one of my favorite. Because you know that our restaurants suffer so much. Oh my God, during this pandemic. I think they were the ones that were really affected the most, I have to say. And to see this come out, we were one of the organizations advocating for it as well. It's just so incredibly pleasing, incredibly pleasing. The money that is coming out through this fund, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much money is coming out through this fund. And this is specifically for restaurants. You know, this is for restaurants, for food, food businesses. So if you have a restaurant, if you have a food stand, food truck, food carts, caterers, bars, saloons, lounges, taverns, snack and non-alcoholic beverage bars, bakeries, breweries, wineries, you know, so many. And the amount of money is insane. And they are going to, what it's really, really wonderful about this is that they are going to give you the money that you were generating at a certain time. Okay, so you're going to prove that money, how much money you were making when you were closed or during the pandemic, and they're going to give you that money. Okay, they're also going to pay for any retrofitting that you have to do it, all of those things that you have to rebuild outside to do the outside dining, all of that stuff, it's in there. So that money is there and it's for you. Okay, and it opens, and the applications open on May 3rd, but the platform opens, I believe it's tomorrow or Friday. Okay, so I put in the link is there. Go check it out, share it with other people, please. This is so important. The platform, it's going to be open, I think it's tomorrow or Friday, which means that you could go in, you could create your account. You have to create an account. You can go in and look at what are the documentation that they're asking you for, so you can be ready to apply on Monday, okay, when it opens up. That is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Next one. Okay, so we have other grants also available and sources of funding. They're coming out almost every day. This one was posted by the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center at Pace University, but it's really a grant through the Brooklyn Library. And that grant, it's a business plan competition. It's a business plan competition for Brooklyn-based startup entrepreneurs, okay, with the opportunity to win seed money. That means that if you are not in business yet and you are looking to start a business, here's some funding for that. Because even though the majority of the money, of course, is to save the small businesses, the assisting small businesses and help them continue to be in business and help them with the recovery, there's also, you know, money for you to start, because we still want our city and our state. We are a small business state, you know, small business city, and we still want people to start their business. So this one is for you. Okay. Next one, please. Okay, the Artwork Archives Art Business Accelerator Grant. It's a very small grant, but it's still good. This is for artists. The deadline is May 14, and you can apply. It's a simple application to be eligible. Visual artists must be working to better their community or address community issues through their work, but they must demonstrate high artistic quality, innovation, and creativity. So this is a small grant, but as I tell people, everything helps during this time, especially if you don't have to pay it back. Okay. Next one. Okay. The Village Recovery Grant Program, this one will provide $10,000 working capital grants to at least 10 storefront businesses, okay? To be eligible, merchants must be currently operating with a commercial storefront lease or planning to sign a storefront lease in the Greenwich Village, East Village, and West Village neighborhoods, okay? So there you have it. This is for also for storefront, and this is for very specific area downtown, Greenwich Village, East Village, but still apply. If you qualify, apply, and please share this information with everybody that you know, any business owner, artist, anyone that you think might qualify for this, you know, for this funding. And they can always contact us if they need more information. We will be more than happy to help them or put them in touch with whoever is handling that, okay? Do I have more slices or is that it? Because I tend to get carried away. I got to tell you that.
No, that's it.
That's it. So one more thing I wanted add is this. Going back to being ready, okay? Because that is key. Being back to you know, to being ready as a business owner. If you're not ready yet and you have questions, please contact us or talk to your accountant, because you still have time. You still have time. You still have time to file your taxes if you haven't, to catch up, to put your stuff in order so you can apply, because there's still funding coming out. I'm almost sure there's going to be another stimulus. Okay. I don't think this is the last one. So you got to be ready. Okay. Make sure that you are ready. So as I said before, make sure that you're, if you don't have anybody on payroll, put a couple of people on payroll, please put yourself on payroll. Make sure that your accounting is in place, that your record keeping is in place, that you have filed your taxes. You cannot apply if you haven't filed taxes, but please do that, and it's be the taxes from last year or, the previous year, but you got to file your taxes. Okay. Talk to your accountant, make sure that you have yourself ready so you can get all the money that is out there because it's yours. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anya, for that amazing presentation. You gave a lot of very, very helpful information. We are going to turn to the question and answer portion of our webinar. And I see someone already has a question. Let's see. Laura de los Santos is asking, do you think that using leverage, in this case, debt, to grow our businesses, as long as we have good cash flow, instead of putting money in, would be the best way to grow a business, kind of like business loans?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it.
Oh, so sorry. So Laura de los Santos is asking if using or leveraging debt to grow businesses, as long as they have a good cash flow, instead of putting money in, would be the best way to grow a business. So essentially using debt instead of maybe on-hand cash.
Well, I would tell you, one of the things that yes, I'll tell you this. I always talk about doing business the American way. And the American way is getting financing. Let me tell you what tends to happen, the big mistake that people make. They use all of their money, right? So they don't have money for for a rainy day. They don't have money for a possible emergencies or, those things that happen last minute that you were not expecting. So you know what you do? You take the money that you have, okay, and you use that money as collateral to get a loan, to get financing. That's what you do. And you build your credit at the same time. And then you have your money there in case you need it for, whatever happens later on. That is the American way.
That is the American way. We do see a lot of bigger corporations who tend to use a lot of grants, a lot of different financing options, and small businesses seemed a little bit more hesitant from my experience to do the same. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, those bigger businesses are bigger for a reason.
Yes, they are.
Let's see, we have a couple more questions in. We have one from Jesse Lopez. How are the interests for paying back the PPP loan? So what is the interest like for the PPP loan?
There is no interest. That's the beauty of it. They call it a loan, but in reality, it's really a grant if you follow what they ask for you to do. Okay, so you don't have to pay it back if you use it for payroll. I think it's 60% for payroll. Now I don't remember if they changed it, but that's the key, because it's called the PPP, is the payroll protection. So if you use it the way that they want you to use it, you don't have to pay it back. It's so wonderful. So there's no interest.
Amazing. So I hope that answers your question, Jesse. So there's no interest for paying back the loan. It's more like a grant. I believe we also have a question from Marcelo, and that was, for those who don't have credit history, how does one start building credit?
Well, you start building credit by, you can get what do you call that? It's a credit card, a secure credit card. You can do that. You put some money in, and that's the money that you use, and you build credit that way. You just make sure that whatever you're using, it's a card that it gets reported to the credit bureau, because that's what it is. So that's important. So you can also get a small loan. You can go get a small loan and pay it back, and that's how that's how you start building your credit, which is very important. There's, I've always said that in this country, credit is king. It's not even the dollar, it's credit.
Okay, that is a great point to make. It's definitely, I see a lot of people starting off with just a credit card. Are there other ways that people can start building credit if they've already started in that way, if from starting already with a credit card, but maybe want to build credit faster?
Well, you can always also, if you have a business, let's say, you can always enter into some type of, agreement with some of your vendors, also a report to the credit bureau, because that's what's important, is to make sure that you're reporting, to the credit bureau. And the thing is, the minute you start, taking money, the minute you get a loan, or and you start paying it, that starts, getting reported to the credit bureau immediately. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that answer. I see we have a couple of people asking about dreamers, and knowing that the Dominican communities, and not just Dominican community, but most of New York has a lot of immigrant communities who want to start businesses. How can those who maybe are undocumented or have some kind of documentation, but maybe aren't citizens, access or some kind of funding for their business?
Yes. So first of all, and I love that question. I would tell you right now, if you're undocumented and you want to start a business, you can do that if you have an IT number. Okay, if you have an IT number, you can do that. And I will tell you, I found, and I love this, that the fact that we have had cases where people are unemployed, but they have amazing skills, amazing abilities, and different things, and we have helped them start a business, and they're doing great, because that nobody asks you if you're undocumented or anything like that. When you own a business, it is a separate entity from you, really, and it is legit. It's very legit. You can get contracts. People can, contract you for different services, and it's fine. They can pay you, and you can open your bank account, and you're in business. Okay, so you can do that. And then in terms of funding, I'll tell you this, the money that's coming out, when the other person was in office, I'm not going to say the name because I promised myself that I was not going to give him more, fame.
He who shall not be named.
Very much so. So he excluded undocumented. He not only excluded undocumented, he wanted to exclude those that were not citizen of the U.S. And, we have a big problem with that, of course. This is a country of immigrants. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of immigrants that pay taxes too. So
Correct.
Now, again, if you have your business, and your business has been operating and you have employees, the same, you can apply for the fundings coming out. Okay. That's there. So it's no longer, a problem. So yes, as long as you have a business entity, that is why it's important. That's why I tell people, you doing business, please do yourself a favor and make sure that you have a business entity, a registered business entity, because that makes a big difference.
Thank you so much, Gania. We have a lot of questions coming in that are culturally related. So I'm going to kind of run through those now. I know Mario Osorio just asked if you've had any challenges with getting Latino businesses help from the city. As the mayor in New York City, SBS have focused on primarily Black-owned businesses after the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes. So I have to say, interesting that you asked me that, because I just had a conversation last week with somebody from the mayor's office, and I said, I'm a big advocate of MWB, which is Minority and Women's Business Enterprises. We have a lot of clients that are African American. I said, but you also have to come out with programs that are addressing the needs of Latino-owned businesses, because guess what? The majority of the small businesses that are owned by immigrants are owned by Latinos. And I, believe that no small business should be left behind during these times. And that, these businesses collectively employ, millions of people. So we got to take care of them. So he's looking into it right now. He is going to be doing something about it. I spoke to the Department of Small Business Services, and they are going to be doing something about it, because I said, you don't want that, to be public, to be a public, a problem. You don't want that, take care of it now before it comes out. So,
Very true. I think often there's definitely an issue where a lot of institutions tend to treat cultural communities like a monolith, but in this case, there's a huge division. And I think there is definitely a way you can help multiple communities at a time. You don't necessarily have to isolate them, because oftentimes they are looking for very similar resources as well.
you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And this is something that I've been talking to the Department of Small Business Services about. I said, with my little, flag about no small business left behind during this pandemic, and looking at the numbers. I said, you got to look at the numbers. The majority of the immigrant-owned businesses are Latino-owned. I mean, and talk about Dominican-owned businesses. You just have to walk Washington Heights and Inwood and, in the Bronx, my goodness, so we have to make sure that those businesses survive and that they are included in every plan, in every grant and every loan and every program for, the recovery.
Correct. I think, there's a couple of questions coming in as well, still culturally related. And I had this question as well. I'm going to combine both Lilian Perez's question and Laura's question, in the sense that, Dominicans, especially you said that the small businesses are leaning a little bit older. The owners tend to be a little bit older. And, oftentimes they come in with a certain business management mentality.
Yeah.
So combining the two questions, how did those businesses get successful using the Dominican mentality and not the American way? And then what can we do to better educate small businesses about these grant and loan opportunities? Because they tend to be more hesitant to reach out for help from the government as well.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you, in terms of how do they become successful, there's one thing and I always say this, I don't think there's a more entrepreneurial group than Latinos. And I go back to Dominicans. Oh my God, we would survive. We would survive. And I'll tell you a little story of what I told the governor's office during the pandemic with my beauty salons. And I said my beauty salons because we work with a lot of them. And that he wanted, they were not included in the reopening of the second stage, the second phase. And I went back and I said, you got to open them the second phase. And they said no, because that's, contact one-on-one and, it's high risk for COVID. I said, I'm going to tell you this. If you don't open them, they're going to be doing business from home. Do you understand that? Okay. They're going to be doing business from home because they're going to survive. Okay. They're going to take the risk. So it's better if you allow them to open because they are going to conduct business even if it's from home. Okay. And they understood and they let them open on the second phase. So the risk, we are, our small business owners are so resilient and risk takers. I mean, I always said my hats off to them. They come here, they work for a little bit, then they go and they open their own business without much knowledge, let me tell you, except that the ability to do the trade. Okay, you know how to do hair, you're going to open a business. You know how to cook and you cook for the family, but you're going to open a restaurant. Okay, and that's how they survive. But they survive. They could be doing much better. That's one thing that I always say, the fact that, look, we're in a pandemic and they're still around. And I said to somebody who was saying, oh, we shouldn't maybe be giving some, money to these little businesses in immigrants communities because they're not going to survive. And I said, I'll tell you what, I said, they are going to survive. I bet you they have, and I will tell you, they have more chance, they have more probabilities of surviving than businesses in other communities. Okay. Why? Because our people take risk, they don't give up, they're resilient, they are going to be doing business no matter what. Okay. And also our communities are supportive. We are supportive of our people. I don't go downtown to get my hair done. I go to my community, so that's really what it is. But in terms of education, as some, yes, they're set in their own ways too. They say, I've been doing this for a while, but you know what? This has become the perfect storm, and I see more and more of them allowing for people to come and help. I see a lot more of them attending seminars and workshops. I mean, I'll tell you, during the pandemic, we have close to 500 businesses in Zooms, just to talk about the reopening, the COVID safety protocol and all of that. So I think this is the time when they are finally understanding that they need this information and they need the education if they want to survive.
I definitely agree with you. And I think something about small businesses, I also live in the Bronx, and I can tell you that they become integral parts of the community. They will know family, people will go to a specific store out of loyalty because they've been supporting that store for generations even. So I definitely agree with you in that. Of all of the businesses I will see survive, it's those who have become kind of an integral part of their communities. So just moving on to the last few questions. We have Ana Garcia Reyes. She is from Hostos Community College, and we want to know what recommendation you would give business major students who are interested in opening up a small business.
Well, I would tell you, my recommendation, it's always prepare yourself. The fact that you're already going to school, majoring in business, that's a great start, really. Because I've always said that if our people with the resiliency that they have, the risk taker, regardless of the languages and the barriers and the challenges, that they still go and open a business, imagine what they could do. Imagine how far they will go if they will also make sure that they get the education that they need. Okay, that's so to young people, please go and start a business, but also not only get the education, very important, build your network. I tell my kids, your network is your net worth. Your network is your net worth. Start, doing networking, start meeting people, because those people could become your clients. Those people could become your mentors. Those people can connect you with resources. That is very important. And go into industries that make you a lot of money. I love my hairdressers. I love my barbers, my restaurant, but start looking at tech. Start looking at the tech, industry. Start looking at, e-commerce. Start looking at those other industries that we didn't go into before. And then start looking also at construction, because there's a lot of money in construction. Okay. And then start looking at all the resources that are available. Make sure that you know those resources and that you use them. Okay. Don't ever start a business by yourself. There's so many resources here in the city and the state of New York to help you. Use them and use them well. When you are already in business, become certified as an MWB company. Okay. You do that, then you can get contracts with the city and the state. And that's money. I mean, I know Maria Sorio's in here, and she can talk to you about that. There's, contracts available. I know companies that have become millionaire, just, doing business with the city and the state of New York. And we don't have enough Latino-owned businesses that are doing that. So do your research. Look at the industry. Where is the money right now?
I definitely agree. We have more resources than I think we do. I know I worked as an intern in a company in their social responsibility team, and they had a specific branch that worked in the Bronx, Miami-Dade County, and we're opening another opportunity and funded local small women Black-owned businesses, and I was not even aware of it until I started working with them.
Yeah.
And they never had to give that money back. They got free money to start a business, and they got mentorship for it.
Yes.
So definitely start seeking a lot of those opportunities. And I think, especially for those students who are graduating in with business degrees, I think an amazing thing that I've been thinking about a lot is, we have a lot of, those old school owners that we were talking about earlier with an old school management mentality that I sometimes fear will not survive the transition. And I'm wondering how those business majors can partner with local businesses and build their websites for them, depending on what sector they're in the business economy, how they can help them essentially transition into the tech parts of their business, and build how to help them become business managers for their business. How can we get this younger generation to help our older folks so these small businesses can stay alive?
I love that. I mean, well, let's talk about it. Because there is room for that. There's a need for it. That's a way of connecting, the senior, seasoned, business owners with younger, with a younger generation. And who knows, there might be a possible partnership later on, so why not? Why not? I think it's a great idea,
I think about those things quite often. And we know you have a lot of experience with the not only the Chamber of Commerce, but we know you work in the community and have a huge breadth of knowledge. Could you talk a little bit about your priorities as executive director, and what percentage of Latinos who are male and female in your membership pool, what challenges you face?
Yes, well, in terms of our membership pool, just with the beauty salons alone, I think we have like 500 of them, and they're Latino owned. So we have our membership and our clientele, it's mainly what we call women of color. So it's Latinos and Black women, because that's one of my priorities, is to make sure that we get the help where the help is needed. We get to where, our women that truly and really need the assistance. Even though our services are open for everyone and the membership too, but those are groups that we know for a fact that have been left behind, that were not included in opportunities, that they were excluded of financial, opportunities, contracting opportunities, so many different opportunities. So we make sure that they're included. So that's a big priority. And I'll tell you right now, during this time, my priority, yes, is of course the organization, making sure that the organization continue to exist, because if we can't do the job of helping businesses if the organization doesn't exist. But my priority and our priority is really helping the small businesses survive during this pandemic. It's making sure that they get all the resources that they need. We are not only providing them with services, but we are constantly advocating for those resources to come out, for those resources to be created, for those resources to get to them, making sure that they're not being left behind, they are included, as I said before, in all the plans that the city and the state have for the recovery, and that the information gets to them. That's something that is very important. One of the things that we're constantly advocating for is to make sure that the information comes out in Spanish, which doesn't happen often. If you look at all those links, everything is in English. Okay, and that has been one of the fights that we have had with the city of New York. Now they're kind of changing that. With the state of New York, they have also changed that. I'll tell you, when the pandemic, for the reopening, the information was only in English. And I said, you can't do that in the city of New York. So they translated the same with the city, but we have not been able to get that from the federal. That's just something that we advocating for.
Absolutely. We thank you so much for your advocacy, because I think oftentimes when those grants, those opportunities, those resources aren't showing up, is simply because we do not have someone representing us at the table. We cannot expect people who don't understand the experiences to figure out what it is that these communities need. So it's great that we have advocates such as yourself, and we need more even, to make sure that we are lobbying and advocating for the resources that these small cultural communities really need.
Yes, we have to. And I will tell you this, we can't stop doing that. And we have to remain very, very vigilant, because sometimes the people making these decisions and allocating the funding, they don't know our communities. They don't
Exactly.
know the needs. So we have to make sure that we remain vigilant, that when they're talking about resources, like you said, that we are at the table to make sure that there is a piece for our people.
Exactly. And that is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful end to the question and answer part of our section. I don't see we have any other questions coming in. I think, just to reiterate, got to make sure that we advocate for small businesses, for minority-owned businesses, kind of echoing what Genia was saying, of making sure that we reach out for mentorship, that we seek resources. She gave us an amazing breadth of information about how we can access loans, where to look. And I think that we are so, so grateful to have a mentor right here, our table, like Genia. So thank you so much, Genia.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I love it. And please share the information. Anything else that we can do, we'd be more than happy, of course.
Yes, thank you so much. We're going to now turn to Francisco Nunez, who is our 2019-2020 scholarship recipient. He has a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering at the University of Florida, or he's currently a student at the University of Florida. He has achieved a lot of different things already as a young person. He has a Bright Future Academic Scholarship. He has a National Dominican Day Parade Scholarship. He has an AP Scholar in Honors, a Gates Scholarship semifinalist, and he's a Questbridge College Prep. So, wow, we are already impressed by you, and you haven't even started speaking. So let's turn the floor to Francisco Nunez.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I was under the impression that the video would be played. All right, so thank you so much, Raynette. As a fellow scholarship recipient, I'm grateful to be here with so many familiar faces. I just have to say that working with team NATDPP has been great the whole time. And there's been so many opportunities that have been presented to me along the way. Just being able to network with fellow Dominicans across the country. I'm down here in Florida right now. And it's interesting just to see that although a lot of the internship opportunities that have been presented to me have been given mainly to, up there in New York, it's so interesting to see that there's that big of a community that's looking out for each other. And it still allowed me to connect with so many fellow Dominicans and scholarship recipients through social media. And it's just something that I'm grateful for, just to have that group of people that I know, but you know what I mean? Like, I know them, but I don't know them. Anyways, I just wanted to speak about the application process for me and how everything has gone along the way from that point to now. And I just wanted to talk about how when I was in the application process and, in the essay writing process of that, I was really speaking about how I wanted to envision a future where Dominicans were really, in charge of things and creating a legacy both in the home island, but also here in the United States. And I think that it's people like us that come together to make change. It's people like us that really have been taking the first step in that direction. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. I found that the application process was streamlined, and it was interesting to see how the interview process was also added onto that, through the pandemic. We found out that we had to, take phone calls and go on Zoom meetings. but it was in a way that everyone had to adapt. But we found a way, and it ended up being very familiar and comfortable for me, at least. And at this stage, I'm at the end of my first freshman year of college. I'm extremely grateful for having won that scholarship last year, and I can't express my gratitude enough to say that I want to continue being a part of this organization. And a lot has changed for me through this year, I have to say. I've seen myself change in the way that I've approached college as a whole, relationships with people through the pandemic, now that we're finally entering out of it. And I think that the NATDPP is an excellent example of just the perseverance that we've shared as a Dominican community. Earlier in the year, we had the virtual parade, and it demonstrated how we were able to still come together as a community, despite the hurdle of not being able to actually, celebrate in person. But, we made the most of it. And I think that speaks about the passion that we have just for our culture. And I went on, it made me really look back and reflect on my own position as a Dominican. I'm someone who was born in Santo Domingo, and I moved over here when I was about 3 years old. But my family raised me Dominican, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I know that when I speak about my fellow peers in the NATDPP community, whether they're the fellow scholarship recipients or people on the board, I'm extremely grateful for them. Maria, Freynette, Marcelo, Juania, and Christina. I think all of us, every time that we take a step forward and participate like this, even if we're not directly involved with the process, we show how we want to really commit to our community, our legacy of Dominicans. And what I just want to leave you with as we end this wonderful workshop is I just want to say that we need to keep working and striving to ensure that the Dominican community is ensured for the future. So we want to continue to encourage people to donate, continue to encourage people to sign up for the scholarship, and just really encourage them and believe in them. I think that the importance of this scholarship cannot be understated. And I think that as long as we encourage people to believe in themselves, we'll make them see that they have the potential to do incredible things. And with that, I would like to conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Francisco. Just a reminder before we end our amazing webinar, we want to remind people to check out the natddp.org website for several different things. We want to make sure you are ready to come out to the parade on August 8th. It's always the second week of August. If we miss part of this webinar, they're frequently uploaded, and other resources are available as well through the website and through the NATDPP YouTube channel. We also have our donation links as well as our scholarship links on the website. If you aren't available to participate in the scholarship program as a recipient, definitely donate, or encourage a student who you know is eligible to go through the scholarship process and possibly receive a scholarship to apply. I think had I not had mentors who encouraged me to apply, I would not be able to participate in both the scholarship experience as well as other volunteering experiences like right now. So definitely encourage people to participate, like Francisco mentioned, and please engage with the NATDPP organization. They offer so much for the community. We're also looking for corporate sponsors and speakers for future workshops. So if you know anyone who is available to do that, please reach out as well. There are links and forms to be able to contact the board and the chairs on the website as well. We want to thank all of the wonderful participants that we've had, both the panelists, Kenia, Cristina Contreras, Francisco, Marcelo for helping organize all of this, as well as Maria Curry. And we want to also thank the attendees, because you guys are the ones who are receiving and disseminating all this amazing information. Please encourage people to register for future webinars and access all the resources that we have as well. So thank you so much for everyone who attended and participated, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening.